I caught my fiancé in bed with my best friend, my heart shattered on the spot. As I stood frozen, she looked me dead in the eyes and sneered, "What are you gonna do? Cry?" I just smiled, walked out without a word, and made sure neither of them saw what was coming next. I silently transferred all funds from our shared account. We had been saving for a down payment on a house, and that money was entirely mine. This morning, my phone was flooded with frantic calls from both of them. I, a 32-year-old man, am now sitting in an almost empty apartment that was our home until yesterday, shared with my fiancée Maya, 29, and my best friend Liam, 31. Now, it's just me and a pervasive quiet. It was meant to be a pleasant surprise. I finished work early yesterday, a rare Friday treat. My plan was to pick up some Thai takeout, something Maya enjoys, and maybe open a decent bottle of Cabernet to properly kick off the weekend. We were diligently saving for a house down payment. To be precise, I was doing the diligent saving. The joint account we had was funded almost entirely by me. 95% of it came from my inheritance from my grandparents, plus years of careful saving, totaling around $65,000. We'd even begun casually browse listings. Upon arriving at our apartment building, I took the elevator up. The door was slightly open, which seemed odd, as I always ensure it's locked. I nudged it open gently, and there they were, my fiancé and my best friend since high school in our bed. They didn't even notice me at first. When Maya finally saw me, her eyes widened for a moment. Liam just wore a self-satisfied expression. Then Maya actually let out a cold, sharp laugh. "Well, this is awkward," she commented, not even bothering to properly cover herself. "So, what exactly are you going to do?" Liam chuckled. "Dude, relax. It's not a big deal." "Not a big deal, is that right?" I remained silent. I looked at her, then at him. Something inside me simply clicked. A strange calm settled over the utter devastation. My hand almost automatically went to my phone in my pocket. I pulled it out, and without a second thought, quickly took a single photo. The flash didn't even go off. They were too absorbed in their moment to notice or care. Then, I offered a small, tight smile, turned, and walked out. I heard her call after me, "Ben, wait, don't be like that," but her tone sounded more irritated than genuinely concerned. I walked directly to my car, pulled out my phone again, and accessed my banking application. From the joint house fund account, I transferred every single cent to my existing personal savings account, all $65,327.4. It took about 30 seconds. Then I drove to my brother's place. He was surprised to see me, and even more surprised when I explained what had happened. He simply hugged me and allowed me to crash on his couch. He asked no questions beyond making sure I was all right. This morning, my phone began ringing off the hook around 8 a.m. Missed calls: Maya, 17, Liam, 12. Voicemails and frantic texts. "Ben, where are you? Ben, call me. We need to talk. Ben, what happened to the house account? Maya's freaking out, man. Call her. This isn't amusing. Ben, that's our money." Our money, indeed. The most memorable one was from Maya. "Ben, this is a massive misunderstanding. You have to put the money back. The bank said you moved it. We have that open house viewing on Sunday, remember? What are we going to do?" Yes. I haven't responded. I'm just looking at my phone. The initial shock is fading, replaced by a cold, hard anger, but that strange calm persists. They made their bed. Now they get to lie in it, alone and without funds. Update. 1. 3 days later. Okay, so things have escalated as anticipated. Thank you for all the support in the direct messages. It's reassuring to know I'm not overreacting. After ignoring their calls and texts for an entire day, I finally sent both of them a single identical message. What happened is you both betrayed me. The money was mine. Consider our business concluded. Do not contact me further. Then, I blocked them on everything. Phone, social media, the whole works. For added security, I later moved the $65,000 from my regular savings into a brand new savings account at a different bank, just to ensure a completely clean break and no chance of accidental joint visibility if Maya somehow attempted to claim access to my original bank. However, the calls didn't cease. They just started coming from unknown numbers, or get this, Liam's mother, Carol. She left a voicemail. Ben, dear, this is Carol. Liam is very upset. He and Maya say there's been a terrible mistake about some money. Can you please call me? They're very worried. Maya's mother is involved now too. Maya's mother, Diane, then proceeded to bombard me with Facebook messages. I suppose Maya gave her my profile. They were long, rambling things about how I was being cruel and unforgiving. How Maya was a sensitive girl who made a silly mistake, but that I was destroying her future over it. She claimed Maya barely knew what she was doing, and that Liam led her astray. Right. Maya is 29, not 12. The sense of entitlement is breathtaking. Diane actually wrote, "You know Maya doesn't have a stable income like you do, Ben. How could you leave her with nothing? That house money was for her security, too." Her security, funded by my inheritance. The mental gymnastics are truly Olympic level. Yesterday, I went back to the apartment with my brother, Mark, while I knew Maya would be at one of her infrequent client meetings. It's a good thing I did. It was clear she'd been there, probably searching for bank statements or any information about the money. Papers were shuffled, drawers slightly ajar. We packed up all my essential belongings, clothes, laptop, personal documents, the few sentimental items that were mine. I left all her things and the furniture we bought together, mostly on my card. But whatever. I don't want it. As we were leaving, Liam pulled up. He must have seen my car. He literally ran towards me. "Liam, Ben, thank God, man, you can't just vanish. And the money? What the hell, man?" "It's been dealt with," I replied. "Liam, dealt with? Maya's a wreck. She can't pay her half of the rent that's due next week. You know that account was for the house, for us." "There is no us, Liam. Not anymore. And it was my money. You both know that. But we were planning a future. Maya loves you. This is just a minor setback." Mark stepped forward then. He's larger than Liam. "A minor setback? You call sleeping with your best friend's fiancé a minor setback? Get lost, Liam." Liam actually had the audacity to look offended. "Hey, it takes two to tango, man. Don't put this all on me. Maya wanted it too." He then actually said, "Look, I'm sorry, okay? It was stupid, but you can't financially ruin her over it. Can't you just put like half back for her share?" The sheer audacity. I just looked at him. "Goodbye, Liam." I got in the car with Mark, and we drove off. He was still standing there, shouting something about me being unreasonable. Later that evening, I received an email from Maya. She remembered my work email, apparently. Subject: urgent. Our future. It was a masterpiece of manipulative nonsense. How she was confused and made a mistake in a moment of weakness. How Liam took advantage of her vulnerability. How the money was as much hers as mine, in spirit, because we were building a life together. She demanded I return her share immediately so she could pay rent and not be homeless because of my vindictiveness. She attached a screenshot of the lease agreement with her name on it too, even though I paid the deposit and every single rent payment so far. Her share of my inheritance because she slept with my best friend. I didn't reply. Mark, who is a paralegal, thankfully said the lease thing is tricky because her name is on it. But since I have proof I paid everything and proof of, well, her actions, if it came to eviction or breaking the lease, she'd be the one in a worse spot, especially with no funds. The plan for now is to let the lease situation play out. The rent is due in 4 days. I've already informed the landlord I'll be moving out and that Maya is currently the sole occupant and any future rent discussions should be with her. He wasn't thrilled but understood when I vaguely mentioned irreconcilable differences and breach of trust. The $65,000 is sitting safely in that new account, feeling drained but also strangely lighter. The trash took itself out. Update 2. Weeks later. All right, folks, buckle up. The entitlement train has picked up steam and is now careening off the rails, taking with it any semblance of sanity from Maya, Liam, and their enablers. So, the rent, as predicted, Maya couldn't pay it. The landlord for our old apartment, Mr. Henderson, is a pretty no-nonsense guy. He contacted her. She apparently gave him a whole sob story about how I'd stolen all her money and left her destitute. Mr. Henderson called me. He was professional but clearly wanted to understand the situation to cover his own back. I explained very calmly and factually, "Mr. Henderson, Maya and I have separated due to an irreparable breach of trust on her part. The funds she's referring to were from my personal inheritance, saved for a house down payment, and were in an account I was the primary contributor to. I have secured my funds. She is still on the lease, yes, but I have vacated the premises and will not be returning or contributing further to that household. I also mentioned I had bank statements to prove the origin and majority ownership of the funds. He grumbled a bit but said, "Okay, son, messy situation, so she's responsible for the full amount now." Got it. She must have realized Mr. Henderson wasn't yielding. I started getting emails from new, random Gmail addresses, clearly her trying to bypass my blocks. They were unhinged, accusations, begging, threats of legal action to get her half of the joint assets. She even carbon copied her mom, Diane, on one. Diane then chimed in, replying all to one of Maya's rants. "Ben, this has gone on long enough. Maya is on the verge of a breakdown because of your cruelty. She will be homeless. A real man would provide for the woman he promised to marry, regardless of any minor indiscretions. You need to give her the $32,500 she is rightfully owed, plus extra for emotional distress and to secure new housing. We are consulting a lawyer." Minor indiscretions? $32,500 she's rightfully owed? Wow. Then came Liam's brilliant contribution. He didn't try to contact me directly again. Oh no. He decided to launch a smear campaign. Some of our mutual friends started getting messages from him. Screenshots of our old friendly texts, taken out of context, of course, to make it look like I was somehow the manipulative one in our friendship. Vague posts on his social media, which I could see through a friend's account, about friends who betray you when you least expect it, and people who abandon their partners over nothing. The irony is so thick you could build a house with it. A house he and Maya apparently still think they're entitled to. One of his posts actually said, "Some people just can't handle it when their girl realizes she deserves better and has a momentary lapse in judgment with someone who truly gets her. Then they try to ruin her life financially." Smooch. The comments were a mix of his clueless buddies saying, "Damn straight, bro," and a few people who know the real story, thanks to my brother discreetly correcting the narrative, calling him out. This is where I decided to stop being purely defensive. They want to play dirty? Fine. My counteroffense, the revenge part, the lease and the landlord. I had a follow-up call with Mr. Henderson. I told him, "Look, I understand Maya is your tenant too, but I want to be clear. I have all the documentation showing I paid 100% of the security deposit and every rent payment to date. I also have, let's call it, evidence of behavior that makes cohabitation impossible and demonstrates bad faith on her part. If she tries to squat or cause legal trouble for you regarding the lease, I'm prepared to share this. My goal is just to be off the lease cleanly and for her to take responsibility for her own mess." Mr. Henderson, who probably just wants a quiet life and paying tenants, seemed to appreciate the heads up. He said he's starting the formal eviction process against her for non-payment. That's a lovely mark on her record. The joint assets in the lawyer letter. I had my brother's legal firm. He got a junior lawyer to do it pro bono as a favor, bless him. Draft a very simple, very clear letter. It was addressed to Maya, carbon copied to Diane at her work email, which I found online. Oops. And also to Liam, sent to his work address, which was also easily findable. He works for a small local company. The letter stated, "The funds in the former joint account number specified, were verifiably from my sole inheritance and traceable personal savings. Documentation attached. Bank statements showing the large initial deposit from my inheritance account and subsequent smaller deposits, all from my personal account. Maya's contributions were itemized and totaled less than $2,000 over 2 years. There are no other joint assets of significant value that she could lay claim to. The furniture was itemized with copies of receipts showing I paid. My client, me, considers her actions on date of discovery, with Mr. Liam, last name, to be a fundamental breach of the relationship and trust, negating any implied future financial commitments. Any attempts to harass, defame, or extort further, funds will be met with legal action, including but not limited to claims for defamation and recovery of legal costs. A final point regarding the apartment. My client is aware that the security deposit, which he paid in full, will likely be forfeited to the landlord due to your non-payment of rent and expected condition of the apartment upon your eviction. Should the landlord pursue my client for any damages exceeding the security deposit, my client reserves the full right to countersue you for those specific additional costs. However, if you vacate the premises by date 1 week from letter, leaving it in broom-clean condition and returning keys directly to the landlord, and sign a full release of all claims against my client, he will not proactively pursue you for any other potential claims related to the apartment or your shared occupancy beyond what the landlord may claim from the deposit. This was mostly a bluff to encourage her to leave with minimal fuss, as Mark advised the landlord would primarily go after the current occupant for damages first. Anyway, the social circle and Liam's job. This part, I won't lie, it felt good. For the friends Liam was trying to manipulate, I sent a very short factual message. Hey, you might have heard Liam's version of why Maya and I split. The truth is, I came home to find them in bed together. He's now trying to paint himself as a victim while supporting her demands for half of my house savings. Just wanted you to have the facts. I attached the picture, the one I snapped on my phone just before I walked out that first day. It's not explicit, but it's undeniable. Them in bed, looking shocked. Them. For Liam's employer, this was a bit more targeted. Liam's company has a fairly strong social media presence and prides itself on community values. I sent an anonymous email to their general HR address. Subject: concern regarding employee conduct reflecting on company image. Inside, I briefly described, without naming myself as the jilted fiancé, how an employee, Liam, was engaged in an affair with his best friend's fiancée, was now publicly slandering the friend online, and supporting financial demands that bordered on extortion, all while the friend was dealing with the betrayal. I mentioned that his public social media posts, with screenshots showing his name and face and the lovely comments, were casting a poor light on anyone associated with him. I suggested they might want to review his online conduct as it pertains to their company's reputation. I have no idea if it will do anything, but it felt damn good to send. He wants to be a public clown? Let his ringmasters know. The fallout from the lawyer's letter was swift. Diane went silent. Maya sent one last screeching email about how I was a heartless bastard and would get my karma. Mr. Henderson confirmed Maya got the eviction notice. She has to be out by the end of the month. Don't know where she'll go. Don't care. Liam heard through the grapevine his boss had a very serious chat with him about his social media. His posts have suddenly become very bland. It's not just about the money. It's the sheer, unadulterated entitlement. The absolute lack of remorse. The expectation that I'd just roll over and keep funding their little betrayal. No. You wanted to play grown-up games? You get grown-up consequences. Final update, 2 months later. It's been about 3 months since D-Day. Life is surprisingly quiet and significantly better. The eviction for Maya went through. Mr. Henderson told me she left the apartment in absolute squalor. Food rotting in the fridge, stuff strewn everywhere like a toddler had a tantrum. He had to use the entire security deposit, my security deposit, let's be real, and then some for cleaning and minor repairs. He sent me pictures. Pathetic. He wasn't happy, but said he was just glad to have her gone and confirmed he wouldn't be pursuing me for the additional costs, as the damage wasn't extreme enough to warrant chasing an ex-tenant who'd already vacated, and cooperated, especially when Maya was the one who trashed it post-notice. That was a relief. He also said she left a forwarding address back with her mommy, Diane. Figures. Maya tried one last desperate move about a month ago. She actually showed up at my brother Mark's apartment building, buzzed his intercom relentlessly. Mark went down and told her if she didn't leave private property immediately, he'd call the police for trespassing. She apparently burst into tears, wailing about how I'd ruined her life, how she had nothing. Mark just looked at her and said, "You did this to yourself, Maya. Ben's moved on. You should try it." Then he went back inside. She eventually left. Haven't heard a peep from her directly since. Liam. Liam. The anonymous email to his work seems to have had an effect. A mutual acquaintance who still works near his company said Liam has been very subdued at work. His brotastic social media presence is now a wasteland of generic inspirational quotes and pictures of his lunch. No more smug pronouncements. Apparently, his company takes its community image quite seriously. and having an employee openly bragging, even vaguely, about behavior that's basically home-wrecking and then trying to bully the victim wasn't a good look. He didn't get fired, but he definitely got his wings clipped. Good. He's also apparently single now. Shocking that his stellar character didn't immediately attract a new partner. As for their supporters, Diane is radio silent. I guess her legal threats were as empty as her daughter's apologies. Carol, Liam's mom, actually sent me a short apologetic card. She said she was sorry for any distress her son had caused, and that she didn't know the full story when she first called. Small comfort, but at least one person in that camp showed a sliver of decency. The money is still safe and sound in that new, separate account. I'm actually looking at properties again, this time just for me. It's a slower process on a single income, but it's mine. Every decision, every dollar, it feels clean. The best revenge here wasn't some elaborate scheme. It was simply securing my finances immediately and cleanly, refusing to engage with their emotional blackmail, using the truth and that one photo calmly and strategically to counter their lies and entitlement, and letting them face the natural, legal consequences of their actions. Eviction for non-payment, potential workplace repercussions for unprofessional online behavior. They wanted to know what I was going to do. Cry? No. I was going to be logical. I was going to be methodical. And I was going to make damn sure they understood that actions have consequences, especially when those actions involve betraying someone, and then having the audacity to demand payment for the privilege. Maya's taunt of, "What are you going to do? Cry?" echoes sometimes. No, Maya, I'm not crying. I'm living my life, free of your drama and deceit. You and Liam wanted to mock me. Look at yourselves now. She's back with her mom, facing an eviction, on her record. He's humiliated at work and has lost his best friend and his credibility. They thought they could break me and then bill me for it. They were wrong. They got exactly what they deserved. The cold, hard reality of their choices. And honestly, that's more satisfying than any screaming match or dramatic outburst could ever have been. Peace out.